Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 8 of the Build Your Coaching Business Around the 9 to 5 podcast. So, for today's episode, I wanted to talk about the question, how is business going? I don't know about you, but I know when I started my business, when I got that question, my answers weren't so succinct. I definitely didn't have the confidence I knew I was capable of, and I see it a lot in my clients as well, especially when your early days, you're probably fresh out of certification, you're working with practice clients, maybe even getting a few paid clients, but not where you want to be. And you're still in the 9 to 5. It doesn't quite feel easy yet. You're not that sure how to create clients, but you're showing up and you're doing things and you're busy being busy. And so, even though you love your work and you know what you're doing and you love showing up for your business and you know this is the right thing for you, when friends, loved ones, colleagues, strangers, anyone asks you, how is business going? Or any of these questions like making any money yet? Or are you rich yet? Or must be busy, hey? Or how's the market at the moment? Or getting any clients? Then I know I certainly had feelings of like anxiety and overwhelm and stress, and I didn't really know how to respond. And as a result of those emotions, I certainly didn't respond very effectively or as effectively as I could have done. I didn't have confidence, I wasn't showing up powerfully. And I realized that I didn't like how it felt, I didn't like how they responded, and something needed to change. And interestingly, this was one of those moments where I made the decision to consciously step out of my what felt like my reality and create a new reality. And if you're following this podcast for a while, you're probably picking up now that I'm quite spiritual and I have a very spiritual outlook on things. And obviously, I meet my clients where they're at. Some of my clients come to me very, very spiritual, others not so much, and that's absolutely fine. But I certainly play in the realm of intentional creation, of intentional thought creation, of taking 100% responsibility that I get to create my reality. And I realized that the reality I was creating with the way that I was responding to other people wasn't actually congruent or aligned with what I knew I was not only capable of, but the way that I saw my business. I'm sure you relate, and drop me a DM if you do. When I think about my business, and this was even when I first started, I knew it was where I was meant to be. I knew it was what I was meant to be doing. I knew that this was absolutely my sole purpose and that I was on the right path by pursuing life coaching and finding ways to help people and stepping into my power, healing and growing and overcoming like my generational pain and childhood experiences, and through that becoming and stepping into my future as a coach, I knew hands down this was 100% where I wanted to be. And so it was interesting to me when I went into that role of the objective observer and looked at how I was responding to people when they asked those questions. I was like, something's amiss here, and I need to take responsibility of this. And this is your invitation to do the same. Because if you do get those emotional responses when you get those questions, not only are you doing yourself and your business a disservice, but you're also missing a huge opportunity when you're showing up to people and you're putting yourself out there. Part of embodying and becoming the person that you are in the process of becoming means owning that version of you outside of the safe bubble of your desk and your laptop and when you're working and with your coach friends and with your coach. It means being that version of you 24/7, all the time, owning those discussions, being empowered in who you are, in where you are in this stage of your business and in this season of your business. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in. I want you to really think about who you really are and who you really want to be when you show up, because you get to choose. You get to choose how you show up. If we plan ahead of time, if we anticipate ahead of time that these questions are going to come up, and that we assume people are coming at this with the best intention and they want the best for us, and that they're excited to see how we're doing and it's interesting to them. And when they ask these questions, they're not coming at it from a place of judgment or expectation or I don't know what else. There's probably other words I can think of, but I think when we get defensive, we're kind of missing the opportunity and we're missing the true intention that people are often asking us these questions. Now, don't get me wrong. There's always going to be those people who watch Gary Vee online and have the idea of building a side hustle. Maybe they're even senior themselves in their own organizations. Maybe they even run their own businesses. And they think they know a thing or two about building a business or making money on the side or having a side hustle, or they watch things like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den and they feel like, or they did a business degree and they feel like they have something to contribute. But again, that's a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. And you get to welcome these questions and welcome these responses and see it, as I said earlier, as an opportunity to step into who you are becoming and really own what you're doing and how brilliant and incredible it is that you are doing what you do. So this isn't about having smart scripted answers and responses to satiate the person that's asking these questions of you. This is truly about you stepping into your confidence, your belief, and your empowerment that you are a successful coach, even before you may have the evidence and even before it feels real to you. You get to make it real because you decide it is, in your thoughts, in your intention, in your vision, in your belief in yourself. You are the narrator. You are the storyteller. This is your story. And anytime someone asks you these questions, how is business going? From here on in, I want you to really start owning it. So I'm going to tell you a brief story because this was, I mentioned earlier, like I had this moment where I realized that I wasn't maximizing the opportunity when people were asking me and I wasn't owning it. And it's interesting because my stance has now actually changed a little bit, and I'm going to show you the evolution of how I tell my story of my business, because it wasn't easy. As I say, I did used to shy away. I did used to feel that anxious, like self-judgment, self-awareness, self-consciousness about, oh my gosh, what are they thinking? What can I say? What should I say? And actually there are a few different ways that you can respond. I'm going to share that with you. And through sharing the ways that my story has changed and how I show up to strangers about my business and how I show up to my friends and my family about my business, I think will really help you as well. And you can see where you are on your evolution of your business building, and you can plug in to what's going to work for you. I'm just having a sip of water. So obviously I shared before, like the very first time people would ask me, and I would be a crumbling mess when people asked me, and it wasn't a pretty sight. But then it was pandemic, and it was when the pandemic lifted, and a friend of mine was having their wedding, and we were going to attend. It was going to be an opportunity to finally catch up with people and see people. I remember feeling that familiar sense of like social anxiety, where I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna catch up with people. It's gonna be amazing, but also they're so gonna ask me about my business, and I really don't want to have to go there. And that's when I had that epiphany, and I was like, wait a minute, I get to own this. And I decided ahead of time how I was going to respond. And I decided ahead of time simply that I get to own these discussions. I get to be in pride and celebration and in a really optimistic and empowering perspective of how my business is going, how it was growing, and what I get to do in my business. So when the inevitable happened and we were sat around a fireplace, and it was the day before the wedding, so it was the evening, we were sat around the fireplace, We were catching up, we were having, you know what fireplace discussions are like, they're cozy. We were literally sat on hay barrels and shoulder to shoulder, though of course we shouldn't have been because social distancing and all that, but obviously we were with long-standing friends. Everybody was obviously tested, it was absolutely fine. And yeah, inevitably it came up, how is business going? And I actually, like, I had to take a breath. I had to remember I had my own back and I get to own this discussion. And I said, even though it felt uncomfortable, and I said, you know what? I love my business. It's been amazing. It's going amazing and it's growing. And I get to work with amazing clients and I love what I do. And I'm so happy. And that was true. Even though at the time, I I had feelings of I could be further ahead or I could be making more money or I'm not fully booked at the time. And that felt like pressure. And if I told that story, that would have been received very differently to the way that I showed up for myself and for my business. I see my business as a partnership. I look at my business as something that I do this part of my life with. My business is like its own entity, and I can either have its back, I can talk highly of it, I can show up in respect of what my business gives me and what I give it. It is like a partnership in a relationship. And I was like, yeah, actually, if I say it this way, because that feels so true. And it is still true to this day. So that was one way that I responded. And inevitably, when I responded that way, people were like, wow, that's so amazing. That's so exciting. That's so inspiring. Obviously, I had some friends who were like, oh, well, I hope business is hard right now. Or how's it going with the economy and the pandemic and all this? And they kind of had these like intelligent thoughts they wanted to offer, things they'd seen in the news. And you know what? I let it brush past me. I was like, yeah, thanks for your input. Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. And I still get to stand strong in my perspective. I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm showing up. I know who I'm serving. And actually, the conversations that were had were so much more enriching for everybody. Now, fast forward to today, and when people ask me how business is going, and I still say the same things, but there's now a very different way that I show up. Because here's another dynamic. Back then, my niche and the people that I served were not just other coaches. I was actually serving people in career change. So I was also very aware that when people asked me how business is going, not only were they interested because they were curious, because they care about me, because they wanted to know what I was up to, because it's a talking point, but there was also this acute awareness that when people ask me the question, it's possibly because they're interested in life coaching. Sorry, just having another sip. And if they're possibly interested in life coaching, there's an opportunity for me. Sorry, my throat's obviously deciding to have have some drama here. Give me a second. I'm just going to have another sip of water. Is that, yeah, they could be interested in becoming a client. And obviously, you don't want to add any attachment to that. But what you do want is to showcase, show them how you can help and be open to that possibility. And if not them, maybe someone they know or someone that they're thinking of. So here's a principle I love when it comes to actually meeting people and telling them how business is going and telling them what you're doing. This is actually about you being able to confidently market your business and being able to confidently talk about how you help people. So when people ask you how business is going, it's kind of your responsibility to be able to stand up with confidence and say, yeah, business is going great, or business is something I enjoy still. Definitely different to my corporate role. And this is what I've been doing lately. Could you talk about a client example? Could you talk about how you're helping people? Could you talk about what you enjoy about what you do? So if someone says to you, how is business going? And you say, you know what, it's been really interesting lately because some of the things that my clients have been coming to me about, or some of the things I've been thinking about for my clients and how I'm helping them, is that lots of them have been coming to me with XYZ. And they will be like, oh, that's interesting. And maybe you could even then use that as an opportunity to ask the person who's asking you about them. Because the sooner you can change the conversation from it being about you to it being about them and how you help them, then there becomes an opportunity for you to actually be a coach and help them and talk to them about their problems, show them how coaching can be invaluable, showcase the industry, put coaching, plant the seed of coaching, whether or not there's somebody that you could help. And in so doing, you open up the opportunity for a potential client or referrals. And so this is the difference between how I responded back then at that wedding and how I respond now when somebody asks me. Now, because I have a defined niche, I have a very defined client who I support. I obviously primarily support coaches who are building their coaching business around their 9 to 5, or coaches who don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 and they want help starting and growing their business. So if I end up speaking to someone who is clearly never going to be a client of mine, I still have a responsibility to the coaching industry and a responsibility to showcasing what coaching can do. And obviously maybe create a referral opportunity. Obviously, I work with so many clients. Maybe the person I'm speaking to could be someone I refer a client to. Then that's the angle I come at it from now. So not only is the narrative still absolutely, yeah, business is growing. Business is so much fun still. It's so different still from my corporate career. I still love what I do. All of that gets to be true, even on the hard days. And have you ever had a life coach? Have you ever done coaching before? Or telling them about a client story? Or thinking about my clients and who they help? And if I can see a potential match, like really showcasing that in that discussion. So hopefully you're seeing now and it's opening your mind to the possibilities and shifting the responsibility from, oh my gosh, they're judging me, they just want things from me, or what are they going to think if they knew the truth, or oh my gosh, I'm not further ahead yet, into being a ambassador for coaching, showcasing what coaching can do, planting the seed that, because I'm sure you've said it, I know I said it, and I said it from day one, everybody needs a life coach. So any opportunity to talk about it is an opportunity for you to really plant that seed and water that seed for the people that are asking you these questions. And you also get to allow yourself to be where you are. So if you're in the first 3 years of business, own that, own it fully, and say, yeah, I'm still in the first 3 years of business. It's still growing. I'm still finding my feet. I'm still finding my way, but I still love it. It's exciting. It's such a challenge. It's such a growth opportunity for me. The way you say it can be empowering or disempowering for you and for them. So you still get to be honest, but you get to own it a lot more. And in part of that preparation, especially if you know that you're going to a networking event or you're going to catch up with family that you haven't seen in a while, you're going to catch up with a friend, even if you're just going to be at a coffee shop catching up with someone and you meet someone and they say, what do you do? And they say, oh, amazing. How is business? How is it going? And it's from genuine curiosity. And even if it isn't genuine, you get to decide ahead of time what you're going to say and how you're going to own it. So anticipate and prepare. Communicate with pride. Allow yourself to feel the discomfort, because this obviously feeds into anything. If you're somebody who has fear of being visible, fear of being seen, if you're somebody who's still learning to take up space and to own your power and kind of familiarize yourself with this new version of you, then of course it's going to feel uncomfortable when you start owning the conversation more and being a new version of yourself that maybe people aren't used to seeing. So lean into that discomfort, don't lean away from it, and share a story. Think of a story of a client example or an example of your own life where you had a transformation, and be willing to share it and make it about them, not about you. So if somebody says to you, how is business going? Give them a great answer and ask them why they're interested. And maybe they'll reveal to you something that shows you an opportunity to help them. Maybe they're going to be interested in starting and growing a business. Maybe they know someone that would be interested in life coaching. Maybe there's somebody that could help you in your business. And when people start offering unsolicited advice, take it with grace, take it with gratitude, and show constraint. You can say to them, I have a business coach. And if you don't hire one, here's your cue. Hello, I'm a business coach. I can help you. But show constraints. If people start throwing unsolicited advice at you, you just say, yeah, interesting, thank you. I actually have a business coach. I have a strategy that I'm working towards at the moment, but I really appreciate you sharing. That's really, really kind of you. You get to own it fully. So practice all of these things ahead of time and be prepared to own it, be prepared to feel that discomfort. And remember, as a life coach, it is kind of your responsibility to get out there and meet people. So if you're shying away from talking about your business, you're also shying away from your potential for success. You're also potentially shying away from your next potential client. You never know where they're going to come from. They're already probably right in front of you. And if they're asking you about your business, then that's a cue for you to lean in, not lean away. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, if you want to hire me as your business coach, then jump on in. Check out my website, www.coachingwithpamela, that's 2Ls.com, and you can check out all the ways that you can work with me there. You can work with me one-to-one. You also have a new mastermind that's coming, and probably at the time of this release, it probably will already be communicated. So if you want to join the mastermind, that is starting in October 2023. I'm really excited about this mastermind. It is going to be a beautiful container where whether you're starting or growing your coaching business to your first 5 to 10 to 20 clients, and you're working towards your first consistent kind of flow of 5 to 10K months, then this is going to be the perfect mastermind for you to really hone in on your strategy and your CEO mindset so that you can build your business around your 9 to 5 or stay out of the 9 to 5 and own conversations like this when people ask you how business is going, or are you making money yet, or are you rich yet? You get to own the discussion because you know that you are supported, that you're on the right path, and that you're doing the right things in your business that you should be doing from a place of alignment and empowerment. So definitely check that out. And if you found this episode helpful, let me know, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast so that you can be notified when the next episode comes live. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you next time. And in the meantime, have yourself a beautiful rest of your day.